How do I look? Am I beautiful? Am I attractive? Common questions that run through everyone's minds. Sometimes these questions can become so essential in our lives that we start to define ourselves through our appearance and let it determine who we are. For a long time in my life, I had questioned my beauty and attractiveness. I was never really sure if I was beautiful or attractive enough. And with time, this thought became so strong that I started to define my self-worth through my looks. I was always told that I'm too fat and that I should control my body weight. Schoolmates pointed out that my hair was too curly and my eyes were too big. When I was pregnant, I got a lot of stretch marks, which added up to my poor self-image. For around 10 years, I did not even go swimming, nor did I wear any clothes that showed even a slight bit of my body. And now you can see pictures of me showing my belly on Instagram. And until a month ago, at the photo exhibition Embodied Yourself at the Café Central of the University of Göttingen. So how did this change happen? It all started last year. I was always scared that I'm not enough for my partners and that no one could ever love me the way I look. Sometimes I even felt as if my appearance was the reason for each and every rejection I had ever faced in my life. And it happened. I was with a guy who could not accept my body the way it is. At that point of my life, I hated my body, and I hated that I looked the way I looked. Thoughts like, if I didn't look that way, he would have loved me were running through my mind. And I struggled with my self-confidence and with my self-esteem. The worst part was that I understood him and his feelings towards myself, because I defined myself more through his negative perception of me instead of figuring out my own personal opinion about my body. I didn't want to define myself through my looks anymore, and neither I wanted anyone else to define me through my looks. I was determined to change, but at that point I did not really know how. This is where the body positivity movement crossed my mind, so I decided to get more knowledge about it. The term body positivity first came into existence in 1996 in relation to eating disorders, and especially with a focus of the treatment of anorexia patients. Its approach was to take away the focus from excessive control over body weight caused by eating disorders. Since then, the body positivity movement became a voice and a medium for many people, in particular for women, to show that beauty is not dependent on how much we weigh, and that we can be, and that we should accept ourselves no matter what size we fit in. Many fashion companies took up on that and started to book and involve more plus-size women. As the demand is rising for the depiction of women how they really look, it also encourages the companies to use less airbrushing for their photos. Nowadays, though, it is not very clear what body positivity really stands for, as many fashion models show before and after pictures of themselves and label them as body positivity, which gains a lot of critique, as to many this does not really represent the core meaning of being positive about one's body. And although body positivity stands for including every person, especially trans women, disabled women, and women of color, feel excluded, as they say that mainly plus-size, white, and pretty women are depicted under the label of body positivity. Furthermore, some feel that the body positivity movement lies its focus predominantly on unconditionally loving one's body, which many cannot identify with, as they neither love nor hate their bodies. That's why they find the body neutrality movement more suitable for themselves. Body neutrality stands more for looking at one's body in a neutral way and freeing up one's minds to also think about other things than just your weight. When I started the journey to myself, I had not heard about body neutrality. I liked the core meaning of body positivity, but there were a few aspects I could neither identify with. Firstly, I felt that the thought of unconditionally loving myself was very overwhelming, since I was just at the beginning and I wanted to reach acceptance first. Secondly, I could not identify with many plus-size women either, as my main problem were my stretch marks, and no matter if I was fat or thin, these stretch marks would always remain and my skin would never recover. So I thought about my own personal feeling towards my body, and I was ready to feel whatever emotion would occur when looking at it. All kinds of feelings occurred: hate, disgust, shame, self-pity. And then I asked myself if my body really deserved that I felt this way about it. I looked at my son and I thought I was carrying him in this body, and it was wonderful and beautiful. During my pregnancy, I did not even for a second think about how my body looked like or if I was too fat or not. And then I thought about all the torture my body had to go through after the pregnancy, because I was trying one diet after another just to try to fit into some beauty standard. So I let my body tell me its own story. And step by step, I felt more and more empathy for myself. During my journey of acceptance, I thought of sharing it. At the same time, I also wanted to give others a chance to express themselves and to share their story. So I initiated the photo project Embody Yourself, which aimed to depict people exactly the way they are, without altering their alleged flaws. All in all, 16 people participated, among them myself. I handed out flyers to find participants. And to me, it was important to include everyone, because I felt that self-acceptance was not just a problem of women, but also by everyone. I told the participants that they can show whatever they would like to show. Something they might really like about themselves, or something they might not like, but have learned to accept. The project got its very own dynamic, and the results were beautiful. I imagined that most of the participants would show their bodies or their looks, but everyone showed their very own interpretation of Embody Yourself. Some showed their passion for guitar playing. Others showed their passion for yoga or for acting. And one couple addressed the sexualization of the female body by showing themselves shirtless. The results were various and very beautiful. I believe that we all think too much about what we look like or should look like. We seek perfection, not merely in us, but also in others. Natural changes of the body often interfere with our imagination of perfection, but we cannot deny nature. Just think about a person you really love, your partner, your parent, your child, or your friend. Have you ever even thought for a second that they are not beautiful? And don't you even think that especially their imperfections make them beautiful? We look at them with love and compassion, and we should learn to look at ourselves exactly in the same way. Of course, there will be days where nothing feels right and where the whole journey of acceptance seems useless. But sometimes I wake up in the morning and I feel like the most beautiful woman in the world. And sometimes I wake up and I don't even want to look at myself. And that is okay. Because like with many other things in life, there are good and bad days. But deep inside I know that I'm okay and that I'm loved exactly the way I am. We determine who we are. No one else does. And we should never give anyone the power to do so. The photo project aimed to show that we're just fine and great the way we are. I hope that people will reflect themselves and how they look upon looks of others. And I hope that these people who believe that they are not beautiful will realize that they are just fine the way they are. Acceptance is all about knowing that we are great and that we are wonderful, even with all our imperfections. In the end, it is not about how we look, but what we love, what we're passionate about, and our attitudes. We are all unique in our own way, and this is truly beautiful. Thank you.